we're going to record this for Gabby. Although I'm sure Gabby knows. Okay, so a clause is a sentence that contains a subject and a verb. We know that, right? Pick a color. I don't care what color you pick, and you're going to highlight that whole sentence. And this is now going to be the color that you dedicate to a clause. Okay, so a clause. Okay, an independent clause. Okay, here we go. An independent clause can stand alone. So y'all see this sentence right here? She began the new book. Can that stand by itself and make sense? Yes. So just pick a different color. And I'm just going to highlight that sentence. She began the new book. So if it's independent and it can stand by itself, I'm going to highlight it whatever color you chose. Okay. An dependent clause. Dependent means what? It relies on something else. So as much as you don't want to admit it, probably most of you are dependent on your parents right now to give you food and clothing and shelter. Okay, you're dependent, right? So dependent, it has to have something else in order to survive. So this right here, when she began the new book, does that stand by itself? No. If I just walked in the door and I said, hey guys, when she began the new book, and I walked out, you're going to be like, what is she talking about, right? So we're going to take a different color, and that's going to be dependent clause. So I know this seems really tedious, but color coding it has helped in the past, so I'm really hoping that it's going to help some of you, because you should be able to start to visualize the different colors there. Okay, so let's look down here. We've got 4 types of sentences. This one I feel fairly certain that y'all are comfortable with, but this is a simple sentence, and this is made up of one independent clause. That's all you need to know. So go find this independent clause color, and we're going to highlight the sentences. And then I'm going to also highlight right there where it says a sentence made up of one independent clause. So if it has one independent clause and it can stand by itself, it's a simple sentence. Make sense? So I went to school. I rode the bus. I am tired. Jonah is hurt. Whatever. Okay? Simple sentence. Okay. Okay, this next one, compound. Again, I feel fairly certain that y'all know what you're talking about, but this is where it gets tricky. Flip your paper over. I lost my pen. And we are going to write fanboys. We know these, right? You love these. These are your best friends.
Are they?
They are. What's the F stand for? For. A. And. In. Nor. B. But. O. Or. Y. Yet. S. So. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Those are our fanboys. Learn them. Love them. Become them. I don't know. Something.
Oh.
You're divorcing them. Okay, so I'm going to write that these are coordinating conjunctions. Do you need to know that word? Probably not, but you might be on Jeopardy one day, and you need to know it.
And then we'll eat, and then we'll win. Thanks,
And then you're going to owe me money.
Stephen.
Yeah. Okay, so here's where it's going to get weird, because it wouldn't be weird. It wouldn't be English class if it wasn't weird. Okay, so out to the side, I'm going to take, remember, this is the color that I did for independent clause, right? I'm going to take that same color and I'm going to put IC for independent clause. And I'm going to do that twice, and I'm going to space it out. IC, IC. So these are I've got two independent clauses. Okay? Jonah is hurt, Jonah is mad. Or Jonah is hurt and he is mad.
I'm not mad.
Well, we're going to pretend you are. Okay. You've used you've used 3 colors so far, so go grab the one that you haven't used. And we're going to write fanboys down the middle. I'm sorry. And then right before fanboys, take your pen or pencil, whatever you're using, and you're going to add a comma. Okay, so you know how in math it's like 2 + 2 = 4? In English, it's going to be independent clause plus a comma plus a fanboy plus another independent clause makes a compound sentence.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Math and English, we're combining them. So, let's look at this sentence. The student raved about the book, and the author was delighted to receive their complimentary emails. So, where's my first independent clause? The student raved about the book. So, I'm going to highlight that, my independent color. What's after book? So I'm going to actually circle that comma there. What's and is one of our what? Fanboys. So I'm going to highlight that, my fanboy color. And the author was delighted to receive their complimentary emails is going to be what? Independent or dependent? So the author was delighted to receive their complimentary emails.
No, yeah,
Independent because it can stand alone. So the author did what? He was delighted. Okay? So I've got independent, comma, conjunction, independent. And that's what makes up a compound sentence. 2 or more independent clauses. Okay, let's flip back over. And let's write, I enjoy reading. Such true statements.
yeah.
I enjoy reading, comma, but I don't like writing. Ugh, who would ever say something like that? Breaks my heart. I know I did. Okay. Take a second and highlight this one. Identify. What do we have here? Independent, dependent, or do we have conjunctions? What's happening? Okay, I enjoy reading. Independent or dependent? Independent, because it can stand by itself. I enjoy reading. What about I don't like writing? Independent, because it can stand by itself. I do have a comma. And what is but? Fanboy. So I've got independent clause, comma, fanboy, independent clause. So we have a compound sentence. Okay, and we're going to abbreviate compound as CD. Okay, and I know this is tedious, but I want you to write this one too. I enjoy reading, but not writing. I enjoy reading, but not writing. Okay. I enjoy reading, but not writing. Do I have an independent clause anywhere?
Yes. I enjoy reading.
So y'all are saying I enjoy reading as an independent clause? Okay, but what else happens to the sentence? Am I going to blow your mind if I do this? And this becomes a simple sentence? There's no comma. Why is there not a comma? This is where most of you are making your mistakes. Correct. There is not two independent clauses. A lot of people say, I enjoy reading, and then not writing. Can not writing stand by itself? No. If I had put I don't like writing, then it would have been two independent. Okay, so I don't add a comma with a conjunction unless you've got an independent clause after it. Does that make sense? That's probably the most important thing I can tell you today. Do not add the comma next to a conjunction unless you've got the independent clause on both sides. Good? Okay, flip back over. We're looking now at complex. Okay, so right here, when the author learned how much the students liked her work, she decided to write more books. Okay, up here, find the color you did for dependent. Okay, find the color you did for dependent. Remind me again, what does dependent mean? Cannot stand alone. So, out of these sentences, which one cannot stand alone? The first one or the second one? So she decided to write more books. Can that stand by itself? Yeah, that can. So I'm actually going to highlight that one, my independent color. If I walked in and I said, when the author learned how much the students liked her work, independent or dependent? Dependent. So that's going to be my dependent color. So complex is made of at least one dependent and one independent. Okay, so jump back to simple. This by itself is just an independent clause. That's easy, right? Y'all get that? Okay. Then we've got compound, which is an independent clause, comma, a fanboy, independent clause. Still good? Okay. A complex sentence is independent clause, comma, dependent clause. Independent clause, comma, dependent clause. Okay, flip back to the back. Okay, I'm going to write, and so are you, because school is fun for me, comma, I study for an hour each night. Because school is fun for me, I study for an hour each night. Okay, So I've got two parts. Because school is fun for me, I study for an hour each night. Which one is independent? I study for an hour each night. Which one is dependent? Because school is fun for me. Okay, what's the only other part that I haven't acknowledged? The comma. Okay, so I've got dependent clause, comma, independent clause. Does that make sense? Olive. Throwing me off. Okay, under that we're going to put I study for an hour each night because school is fun for me. I just switched them, right? I study for an hour each night because school is fun for me. Yes, ma'am. No, we'll talk about that. Okay, so I study for an hour each night, independent or dependent? Independent, so I'm going to highlight that my independent. I study for an hour each night. Remember, that's independent clause. Because school is fun for me, independent or dependent? Can that stand by itself if I just walked in and said, hey, because school is fun for me? No, so that's dependent. Okay, so these are the same sentences, they're just switched, right? What is missing in the second one that the first one has? A comma. So hear me now when I say this. When your dependent clause comes first, you need a comma. When your independent clause comes first, you do not need a comma. Okay? Like we've all burned that into our brain. When the dependent clause comes first, you need that comma. When the independent clause comes first, you do not need a comma. Okay? Because an independent person, an independent woman doesn't need anybody, right? So she doesn't need anything after that to help her survive. The dependent dudes, they need help. Okay, so they need that comma. Yeah, everybody turned to Jonah for some reason. That was weird. Okay, flip it back to the front. Last one. This one gets weird. Compound complex. When the author announced she was writing more books, the students were delighted, but she surprised them by writing about a different subject than they expected. Where are my independent clauses? Say it again. The students were delighted. Where else do I have independent? Yep. She surprised them by writing about a different subject than they expected. Okay, do I have any fanboys? But. What do I have before but? A comma. When the author announced she was writing more books, what is that? Dependent. So, all in all, we've got at least one. Hi, Miss Stovall. You look fantastic.
She was very... Oh, I forgot it was
Yes.
She had a problem with me because she's an alien, and I'm keeping her from reading my mind.
True, you are.
Normally, I think she takes advantage of me by reading my mind.
Hang on one second, Miss Stovall. Okay, so we've got at least one dependent and two or more independent. Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good day.
You too. Okay, so is this clear as mud?
No.
It's super clear?
What is it?
Like we're all grammar geniuses now? Not quite. Okay, so we are going to get there, just clearly not right now. This, do not wait. I need, literally stop and look at me because this is the most important thing you need to know. This, do not lose because this is going to be your best friend from here until the end of forever. Okay? This, hang on to it because we didn't get to it. Here's the important part. Super important. You should have picked up a packet that says Harrison Bergeron. It looks long because it is long, but it's not that long of a read once you get started. This is homework. You have a quiz tomorrow as soon as you walk in over the reading about the story.
Can we write homework on it?
You can write homework on it. I will send out a remind tonight. Do not forget. Got it? Okay, if you use my highlighters, go set them on Miss Cobbler's desk, and then everybody's good to go. Make sure you're a good friend to everybody, including yourself today.